Well, hello again. Welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with me and Welsh. Today's guest is someone I've been blown away by. Her name is Aliyah. I was on her Instagram page and I saw the amazing work she's doing for students, especially. She's only 17, and I was determined to reach out to her to understand how she's using her new platform to overcome pains of students. Meet Aliyah. Welcome everyone to Painless Universal again, and I have the gorgeous Aliyah here with me. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm wonderful. Now, doing well. I had to reach
Good.
out to you because I saw your page and I was truly blown away. I was thinking to myself, how can such a young girl be so spoken and know what exactly needs to be changed in the system to get things working again? I'm so grateful you joined me on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I would just like you to kind of introduce yourself. So, for people who haven't heard about you, about your work, to know a little bit about you, then we're going to dive into why your creativity behind that. But first, who are you?
So I'm Aliyah. I'm 17 years old and based in East London. Currently in sixth form, so trying to do my A-levels at the moment. I'm doing politics, sociology and geography.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a bit intense, but absolutely love it. Like subjects that are like completely me written all over it, so that's good. But on the other side of that, beyond school, I'm running my own campaign, Pupil Power, which I started just after finishing my GCSEs last year summer. It's not even been a year, it's crazy. And essentially People Power is trying to educate and engage as many young people across the country in educational policy that affects them and their experience of school. So right now, actually, I believe that young people more than ever have opened up their eyes to how educational policy directly impacts them through COVID-19 causing school closures, cancellation of exams. That's directly policy that's impacting young people and their experience of school. So we're having to like navigate ourselves in our learning at home now and doing things virtually. And I'm in year 12, so I'm trying to do UCAS and personal statements, but not have like the one-to-one support that I expected to have. So yeah, it's weird, but also quite exciting in a bittersweet way, because we can get engaged with so many more young people because they're at home and because they're frustrated. And I feel like after COVID, post-COVID, it's definitely a time for change and a whole new wave of better. Yeah.
No. This is absolutely fascinating. I can't believe a young girl like you doing her GCSE. So when did you realize that people power needed to come about? This whole idea. Where did you get the concept from?
So it's a funny story in the sense that after my GCSEs, I was you have that long summer holiday, so you have from June all the way to September. And initially when you get off, it's like a transition period of like not being in school and constantly revising and now having all this free time. So I went online and went like to find like on Eventbrite like a free event that I could like just go to, and I found the NEU, which is the National Education Union. They were having a conference, and in the description it was like Jeremy Corbyn's going to be there delivering a speech and all these fancy politicians that were announced to be there. So I was like, oh, okay, this sounds a bit interesting. I want to do politics next year. This might be interesting. And then yeah, I turned up, but in terms of the process of me attending the event and registering, I had to be a politician, a councillor, or a member of staff, like a teacher, and I didn't fit any of those categories. So I think I just made up. I thought I said I was a politician, registered myself anyway, and literally made myself a space that I wasn't allowed in, and made myself a space that didn't already exist for young people that were interested in that sort of thing. So yeah, I just turned up and then regretted it instantly. As soon as I walked through the massive doors of Westminster, literally people in suits, adults everywhere walking, and I stood out. Like, I'm really tiny as well, so I stood out, and I was like, okay, I need to go home, I'm gonna get in trouble, I stayed put anyway and sat on this table and acted like I meant to be there, and then introduced myself and said, I'm Aliyah, I'm 16 years old and I just want to learn more about school cuts and educational inequality, and they were like, okay, cool. And as I looked around the room, there was literally so many adults and I was the only young person there, and that's what prompted me to start People Power, in the sense of young people have the power to make the change that they want to make if they have the resources and the knowledge to do so. So after I left the event, I tried to express and tell all sort of stories and things that I heard to my peers so that they could join me on the mission of creating a change.
Well, that's a wonderful story. I think sometimes it's just that by doing your little bold moves, that things that gets you really uncomfortable. But that's the only way your voice can be heard, is by doing that little bold move. And that is so bravery of you that you actually went ahead. Even though everyone was.
I got on the train by myself. I was so nervous. I was going to ask one of my friends, but it was like one of those things that they were just not interested in. So I was like, I'm not going to stop myself from going just because you know. I'm scared to go alone, but yeah.
So People Power is an established, what is it? Is it like a charity organization, or is it like a platform where people could engage students? What would you describe?
So I call it a campaign, but more so a movement. So a campaign to me is very much like, it's quite stationary and this is what we do. A movement is something that's progressive and long lasting. And I've been getting support in terms of thinking about legal structures, possibly creating it into like a community interest company and things like that. But at the moment, we're very much grassroots, on the ground, trying to engage with young people and deliver an action. I feel like even though that's something I want to do to ensure that it's sustainable, it will definitely take away from the work I'm doing, in the sense I'll have all this admin and annual reports and all of this stuff that like all the amazing adults are telling me, like, Aliyah, be careful, this is what's going to come your way. So yeah, we are kind of an unincorporated organisation in that sense, but yeah, very much grassroots, on the ground level.
So you're the founder of this corporation and social movement. I mean, I think so. What you do, you gather students together, all of them, and do you have meetings or?
Yes, it's interesting because again, I started it and then it was very much like local. So trying to get the young people I knew, some of my friends from outside my school involved. So we did little things like little shoots where we interviewed each other and told each other about our experiences in school carts, for example. And it was very much locally based. And then it kind of grew with social media. And then again, throughout COVID, it's just completely grew, in the sense of now we've got over 100 people that joined us on an online event that we created, and from there more people wanted to get involved, and we have like 80 people who are technically a part of the team. So like every Saturday we meet and we plan our actions, and it's like the momentum is like crazy and the energy is like through the roof. So yeah, people all over the UK right now, young people who are still in school and want to get involved as much as possible.
So what would you like to achieve from doing this? What would be your key aim?
I love that question.
I know, because I know I started a movement. I didn't really start one, but I joined an organization because of my chronic illness. So my goal was to get more people understanding what my chronic illness was, which was sickle cell anemia. So I wanted more people to understand it, and I was tired of the excuses that was given at in hospitals, or we don't know what sickle cell. Everyone just had an excuse, and I thought, this is enough. Let me join this organization, Sickle Cell Society, and go make my voice heard and make that sound there. And I was really happy I did that, because I got to go to Parliament and hear their voice and my views as well, speak to various people. And also as a patient, it made a lot of difference, because I could also speak from my own personal experience. And so yours is also very helpful, because I think as being a student as well, doing your A-levels right now, you could also speak for your own personal thing. But what do you really want to achieve from this?
I want a complete education reform. I just do not feel as if, I don't feel confident enough that the education system and the structure that we have already is fit for purpose. There are so many different flaws from, there's other movements right now, I think, as well, that I'm trying to connect with that are also on the similar mission of trying to create an education reform. And that can be, so for example, I do a lot of work with an organisation called No More Exclusions, and they advocate for completely abolishing exclusions, for example. That's such a radical thought of in our heads we know exclusions to be something that has always been within schools. We can't imagine school without exclusions, what happens to the naughty students and whatever. But actually when you learn about how damaging that is, for example, and there's alternatives that we can have and things like that, and systematic issues that are just causing such like injustices. It's just it's frustrating. I just feel like we almost need to like wake up one morning, absolutely scrap it and start all over again. And for some people, possibly even teachers, and it's such an uncomfortable thought, because it's just like, that's too much work, how can that ever happen, and you just overthink it too much, when actually like I almost think you can't almost like paint over cracks, in a sense of trying to come up with new policies and things, and we need to completely start over again. And I feel like my work with people power, and the one thing that I personally want to advocate for and challenge other people to think, is like have this imagination that is so big that allows them to reimagine the education system, like, and the endless possibilities of what it can be. And that's such a, again, it sounds quite, it's not like a, what's the word, like a specific kind of thing that I want to achieve, but I think that's such a big ask to allow one student to completely reimagine what the endless possibilities can be, and then together creating that. So whether it's small by small, like small steps, small policies, and leading up to something big, I just feel like things need to change on a systematic level, and also individually as well.
What fascinated me, I went to your page, your Instagram page, and one of the things I saw was about the textbook. One of the posts you put there was something about one textbook for so many students. So what would you guys be implying by that?
Yeah, so that was that was right at the beginning of the campaign, when we were focusing on school cuts, and that was actually one of my good friends, Emily. She was saying about how in her school they had one textbook for 30 other children that were in the class for her GCSE science lesson. So imagine being in the classroom, being given work, and there's one textbook. It just blows my mind. And you're all physically like it's not even possible for 30 children to be looking from one textbook. And that just emphasizes kind of like the inequalities within education, in the sense of how money's distributed and how funding comes through, and how schools, in some, not all the time, because you can find schools that are in the private areas who do get a good amount of funding, but it's inadequate funding within schools, creating a lack of resources and a lack of opportunities for students, and the books and the textbooks being one of the issues in that instance. And there's other issues such as like school buildings literally being destroyed and infrastructure falling apart, and then schools not being able to afford to pay for that, which is mind-blowing, to be honest.
So when you go on to university, for example, what next? What's going to happen to social media? Is this social media just movement just for secondary school, or would you take it on to university stage?
Definitely. That's a question that I actually got asked recently, and it's interesting because will be going to university, and then I'm sure when I go on to university, I'll be realising issues that are within, further education and that institution. Exactly. So it's something that kind of grows with me. It started when I was in secondary school, and then now sixth form, and I think that's quite a unique thing, in a sense that I'm like building a community as I'm growing up as well. So even though I'm in sixth form, we've got so many young people that are in secondary school. So hopefully even when I get up to university level, we'll still have that follow through and like triple effect of younger students and also older students. And then when I become an actual adult and I'm outside of university, we'll have this community of different levels of different institutions, and we'll all be leading it. So that's quite exciting in that sense.
That's exciting. And anyone who wants to join the movement, is it just for younger your age range, the teenagers? If myself, for example, if I wanted to join you guys, and I've got kids. So, my son is 10. He might.
Exactly. Exactly. We always say it's like a student-led movement, but by that we literally mean like you see a lot of like organizations that are run by adults, and they always say it's student-led, but then it's not actually. So decisions are always passed through them and things like that. So even again, when I am an adult and I want this to be something that's so long-term, I still want to be involved, but I want the young people to be the ones that are actually, changing things and making these decisions and letting things go through. So even events that we organise, we have support from adults because we need the support from adults. You know, we haven't got all the resources and all the knowledge and everything like that. So we do need adult support as well. So there's other organisations or other individual adults as well that will either sponsor us for things or give us advice or lend us a space, or, you know, so people can support in literally any way possible. And one thing I always ask people, whether they're an adult or a child, is what's your greatest strength? Like, what can you kind of bring to the table for this to be like a unity sort of movement and all in one.
Okay, no, because this is a fabulous idea, and education has always been my biggest passion, because I believe through education you find your strength, and especially if the system is fair. You only do better if you do well when the system is fair, and sometimes it takes pain to go through change. As we're going through the COVID-19 and almost being quarantine time, we're still at home. We won't say pretty much in school. How are you dealing with it as a teenager? How are you handling this whole thing?
I would say a lot better than expected. I think initially it was just a shock of it. I didn't even, honestly, just the idea of schools closing and us actually going into this thing called lockdown was like, oh, it's never going to happen. And then it happened so fast, like school closed, lockdown, and I couldn't really have time to process it. So yeah, I mean, again, the fact that you're with family and I'm experiencing it with family, I think that definitely made it easier because we're all going through it. And now it's strange because it's just a routine. I wake up, eat my breakfast, have a shower, literally get ready as if like I'm starting my day, and then do my work. And if I had just come back from half term, so when I was in half term, it was like my Zoom calls, my people power meetings and everything like that, and now it's like back to the school routine. So I would say I'm definitely navigating it better. It's going to be so weird when we have to go back to this idea of normal. And
what would you do differently?
I have to adjust again. And what would I do differently? Wow, so much. That's another thing. It's like, I don't want to go back to normal. I don't think that's even possible. I think it's either you go back to worse or we go back to an even better, because I think COVID has caused a lot of kind of challenges and issues already. What I would do differently is, I think, slow down. I think everyone's saying that. I just think either London or the world, we just move so fast, too fast. And again, like, I'd be in school and then I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I never give myself the time to like just pause for a second. So when lockdown initially happened and everything was completely stopped, it was like, whoa, this is so weird. You've got all this time on your hand. Started playing the piano again and like started doing all this stuff that I would never tell myself I had time for. But what I'm starting to do is like reword what I say and how I say things to myself. So not that I don't have time for it, but it's not my priority. And when I say like this is not my top priority, it sounds, I can identify whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So for example, I don't have time to talk to my friends. It's not my priority to talk to my friends. Oh no, that's not a good thing. I should prioritize. And then you just switch that language. So yeah, I would definitely say that was something I'll do differently.
Because for me, I learned that it's so important to take time out for myself, because before I was also go, never stopping. And even when I do exercise, I would say today, start the exercise, tomorrow, stop, never consistent. But now I'm like, this is my time. I'm just taking it for myself to go do the exercise I promised myself I'll keep doing. So I think it's quite important, and I'm so glad I also spent more time with family, got to know them, got to know the works they do, which is very interesting to go back to that school life again. But to come back to you, I want to congratulate you for being nominated for the National Diversity Award.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that what needs to happen for that, or when the award announcement will be announced. Is there a place where people could go to keep voting for you? Is there anything we could do like that? Because I want people who are watching this to go out there and support you and vote for you. And I was really impressed to see that, and at such a young age to be nominated by two prestigious papers, I think is really, really good. So what can we do to support?
Thank you. So the deadline for voting is the 8th of June, so quite soon, and you can just vote by either going onto the National Diversity Awards website and typing in Aliyah York, or directly to my personal Instagram, where the link will just be in my bio. And yeah, you just have to vote, say why you're voting, and then submit it and confirm in your emails. A lot of people aren't confirming in their emails for it to count, but yeah.
That's simply it.
Thank you.
Okay, I will definitely add this and try and get this video out as soon as possible, because I really believe in you. I saw your page, I saw what you're doing, the social movement, and I wish I had the courage at your age to start a movement like this, because I think it's movement like this that really make a difference. And I'll make sure as many people as I know get to listen and also be participative wherever you feel possible. And count me in.
Amazing.
Yeah, count me in. I'm definitely part of this, because I'm all about the youth. My goal is to, people said this platform, what is it for? I'm like, it's not just for the people who are in government. It's not for the people who are famous. It's not just for those guys. It's for the up and coming younger generation, people who naturally you will never get a voice. You always get just the one-off voices, but there's so many people like you who should be heard, and because your actions speak louder, because you're going through it. There's nothing more, and there's nothing that makes changes like the people who are actually going through it. Is there any final word of anybody dealing with pain in school? Because this is all about overcoming pain. A lot of people are dealing with challenges in schools right now. What would your movement do to help those people to overcome these pains? What would you guys do? Like, there might be inequalities in schools, such as the teacher not recognizing their talent. There might be inequalities that there are too many in the classroom and they just can't get their voices heard because they're shy, or people are being bullied. What would you say as a spokesperson, a leader in this thing, in people's power? What would you encourage these people to go through? How would you?
My biggest thing is acknowledging that your voice and your stories carries weight and it has so much power. I was speaking with someone before, another young person literally my age, and we were creating action plans, and one of their actions were to go on social media and say what their experience was, and they were like, oh, it's just a small action. And I was like, hold up a second, no, that's not small at all. Sharing your story, sharing your voice is such a big thing, and it does take courage. So definitely don't feel as if it's something easy to happen, but when you do convey how you feel, convey your story or your experience, it's so powerful. So if you are going through pain, if you are going through something within school, specifically, to speak to someone, or if you don't feel like you can speak to someone, using the People Power network and the People Power platform to voice that. It's all about our stories, it's all about our experiences. That's at the center of everything that we're doing. So
can they send you a message for that example?
100%. I get messages all the time about all different things. Even if you have an idea, for example, that you want to lead yourself or lead with People Power and you just want help navigating it, you can always reach out to us on Instagram or on Twitter, or email us, and we're currently getting a website developed. So hopefully communication can be made a lot easier, but just seeing the communities that are out there and organizations that are out there and things that you can get involved in, and just not sitting back and thinking that this is normal and this is what I have to live through and it's just expected to be. That's another thing within school. A lot of young people feel like the injustices and the things that go wrong and the flaws within the education system is just reality and they can't do anything about it. And that's what will maintain that, if we keep believing that it is what it is, when actually you need to get up, like you said yourself, you need to get uncomfortable in order to be comfortable in the long term, and for other generations to be comfortable. So definitely speaking up, which is not an easy thing to do at all. But
final message of hope. I really loved talking to you. I love your final message.
Love speaking to you as well. Thank you.
It was so inspiring for me as well, and I'm sure my son will be listening to this as well. He's 10 and he'll be inspired by what you've just said, and I hope to meet you once this whole COVID
100%
is much over. I'm definitely coming to your things, and we'll definitely help you out wherever I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and enjoy your afternoon, whatever you're doing.
Enjoy
your afternoon and take it easy and enjoy the process of COVID-19, our new world. Really.
Literally, we're not going to get it again. Hopefully not anyway.
No.
It's going to be a strange time. But yeah.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.